Story. Tilda Ochako Pav Tilda. Izu and I ran back to the cabins while I constantly had the same thought in my mind. Did I just tell Izu I wanted to kiss him? Did I just tell Izu I wanted to kiss him? As soon as we arrived there we saw every one of our classmates outside already and discussing something. I walked towards Izu as he held my hand to the girls and asked, "What's going on?" "We're going to have a feast. Like that time at the camp but without all the exercise beforehand," Nina explained, smirking a little as she glanced at our hands. I giggled and nodded. "Where's Eri?" Nina simply pointed her finger towards the little girl who was smiling happily making a snowman with Kaminari, Jiro, and Koda. Koda was gathering stone for Eri to put on the snowman white Kaminari and Jiro seemed to be bickering about something. Izuku and I exchanged a look and smiled as we walked up to them. "What's going on over here?" Izu asked and held out his arms almost immediately as Eri turned around rather quickly, running towards him. Izuku picked her up and held her in his arms. Eri hugged him tightly and smiled saying, "Hi Papa." Izu blushed a little, still getting used to the title, and then all of a sudden he turned to look at me. "Why don't you say hi to your mama?" he said and smiled. "Hi Mama." She immediately responded and looked at Koda who was still holding the stones in his glove. After that, she called Izu's shoulder and he placed her down on the ground. Eri simply walked up to Koda and smiled, "Hello Prince Koda." Koda nodded and looked away handing Eri the stones and she finished the snowman with a happy smile. "You guys have a great relationship." Kaminari started all of a sudden. I watched as I saw Jiro merely punch him in the shoulder saying, "What's that supposed to mean?" "OWW, why do you always have to hit me? I was just saying that they are cute. Why can't we be like that?" Jiro immediately flushed red, "So I'm not cute?" "Wow, thanks." "I'm not saying that." I turned and looked at Izu, then at Eri, and finally at Koda. We all just nodded and backed away quietly. As soon as we were far enough away I chuckled nervously. "So, what to help make food?" I asked awkwardly. As soon as I said that Yaoyorozu and Iida both sent a message on the group chat to meet up at the kitchen. Everyone was there except for Jiro and Kaminari who were assuming was still busy talking about their relationship to get the memo. Everyone quickly went to work and after finishing they set up a movie to watch in the background. Kaminari and Jiro showed up in the middle of making the food and both their faces were a shade of red as they walked away from each other, and towards their friends. "Hey, Uraraka." I turned and saw Sue staring at me with a smile. I'm assuming she already talked with Tokiyami. "Yeah, how do you think our future is going to play out?" I paused and looked around the room as I watched all my classmates sitting with the ones they liked while others were just chatting with each other, well mostly. Bakugo wasn't here, something about his training and not wanting to do something useless. Everyone seemed so friendly and happy. I scanned the room again and my eyes meet with Izuku. He smiled a loving smile and I looked away towards Eri. She was happily playing with Koda and smiling. Now she has a place to call home. Promoted stories. You'll also like Making You Laugh. 5.4K 169. From asking a million times, this joke has finally got a clear yes from Aizawa, and it's all thanks to the adorable Eri. A Villain's Bright Side Izuku X Ochako. 178K 3.3K in quad. I've never met someone like you, but I'm glad I did in quad. And quad, pray you'll have a quirk in your next life, and take a swan dive off the roof. And quad. And so Izuku D. Rain, adopted. 114K 3.2K. This is an adopted story from at M_Spriggs titled Rain, that I will be adding onto. Quirkless one day, as Ochako Uraraka walked back to Ua, she found herself caught in. Smile. Izuocha fanfic. 11.5K 197. A shout out to Maka, the person who made the cover. Make sure you check her out. Link https://www.tumblr.com/tag/mizo. Sword equals top. Uraraka has been crushing on her savior. 1.2m 164k. Yadavanshi series number 3. It is a book under Yadavanshi series. But it could be read as standalone too. Nitya Raghavendra is a Telugu businesswoman earning millions, but her out of time. 20.7k 503. The world was left in chaos after AFO killed last wielder of One for All. Siblings Hiroaki and Reiko are sent to warn their parents of an impending disaster. The pro. Ochako needs help. 26.9k 591. All the girls in the 1A class have decided enough is enough. They are going to help Ochako confess to her crush. One way or another. I think our future is going to be fine. I responded and smiled at Sue. Approximately 7 years later, Tilda. Hey Izu, look. I started as I grabbed a picture frame from an old box labeled High School Memories. Izuku walked over and looked at the photo smiling. Our first date, he said and kissed me on the forehead. Yeah, I can't believe I was already your girlfriend before we even had our first date. He was so awkward on our first date. But to be fair, I was as well. Oh, that reminds me. I turned and grinned at him. Ari is having her first date tomorrow. I forgot to tell you. I giggled. What? He shouted and grabbed my shoulder. With WHO. I chuckled and rolled my eyes. Coda. Remember how they called each other prince and princess when they were younger? Why didn't you tell me? Did he ask you? He was still freaking out. And I gave them my permission to go on a date. They are so cute together, don't you think? Izuku just sighed at me and hugged me. Yeah, he said softly. Still, I can't believe Ari is old enough to go on a date. Well, I paused. What if she has her first kiss? As I finished saying this, he immediately turned to look at me with a shocked face and started freaking out. No, he started and grabbed the picture frame that I was still holding. I'm joking. They aren't even going on a date yet. Come on, Izu. They still aren't old enough, plus they are just going to hang out, not go on a date yet, I said with a chuckle as I looked through the box once again. I heard a sigh from behind me. Still, Ari is going to be in high school soon, and that's when we started dating, so. I paused and nodded. Yeah, but she's growing up. That doesn't have to mean she goes away from us, though. We are always gonna be there for her. Izu nodded and smiled at the picture. After that, he placed down the picture on the shelf that was above the fireplace and walked towards me. You know, Mina and Kirishima are expecting a baby soon. I said, they are so cute together, don't you think? I can't wait to see their child. I watched as Izu seemed to blush a little at my statement. Why is he blushing? They got married right after high school, didn't they? He asked. Yup, Mina wanted to be Mrs. Kirishima as soon as possible. They are in love, huh? Yeah, I paused again and closed the box and turned to look at Izu. I'm tired from moving all these boxes in, how about you? Izu just nodded at me. I'm going to go pick up Ari from middle school. Would you like to watch a movie after? Sure, I said and smiled. Tilda time skip tilde. Mama. I turned as I saw Ari running up to me. Daddy says he has a surprise for you. Oh really now? I turned to face Izu. Now what would that be? Izu looked nervous. His hands were forgetting and his face was a bright red shade. Izu, I asked and let go of Ari's hand. Ari just smiled and stepped away, watching us both like we were some main characters in a show. Izu blinked a couple of times and then he chuckled. Sorry, I am nervous. Why, you well, he paused and shook his head, then he looked at me with a happy smile. Because of you. I blushed and smiled back. What? I asked nervously. What is going on? Why is he so nervous? He is making me nervous. Well, I just wanted to say that. Oh Ochako, we have been together for 7 years now and well I. He played again and reached into his pocket still trembling with nervousness as he kneeled. Is he, Izuku, Ochako? I wanted to ask if, well if. At this point, he had already pulled out a small black box. That, can be a. I love you oh Ochako, and every day my feeling gets strong so, I just wanted to know if you would like to. My face started to flush a bright red color and I watched as Izu was making awkward movements and fumbling. So cute. Would you like to marry me? He finally asked and opened the box to present a beautiful silver ring with an emerald on top and tiny little pink jewels on the side. Izuku is asking me to marry him. This is the best day of my life. Oh Ochako. I heard a voice say nervously. I watched as Izu looked down, with a sad look on his face. Should I not have done this? Is his too early? Are you not ready? I'm sorry I just. No, it's not that it is just that I stopped and paused still wanting to remember this scene in my mind. Mama. Suddenly both Izu and I turned to see Eri with a pout on her face. This is where you tell daddy that you love him. I blushed again and Izu and I looked at each other nervously. I giggled. I love you Izu, I said softly and kneeled in front of him as he was still kneeling. Of course I want to marry you. Izuku's face immediately looked bright as he nodded happily like a little puppy. Quickly he put the ring on my hand and he hugged me tightly. I love you Ochako, he replied as he softly kissed me on my lips. Yay, Eri said and twirled happily. I have to go tell Mina, and she speeds off toward the home phone. Izu and I just looked at each other and laughed. She seems to be more excited than us. Well, she's your daughter. Yours too. I said back and smiled. So about that movie. Izu grinned at me and kissed me on my forehead. What would you like to watch? Princess and the Frog. I said quickly and grinned. What? It's my favorite movie. Izu rolled his eyes at me. Why's that? Because that movie gave me the courage to ask you out. Not to mention we had our first kiss with that movie playing in the background. I simply smiled at Izu as he gave me a confused look. That's a secret. Blank, underscore, blank. This chapter was longer than usual, but don't worry this book itself over. I still have to write about their first date, and more. Plus I still need to finish the medieval chapter which will probably just be one more. Anyways as always there will be mistakes but stay safe everyone and keep moving forward. The final